Right, well, first of all, a decision has been made. The poll, if you like it, or at least the comments in general, was basically very close indeed. For a while it was more or less 50-50, but gradually the Rover began to edge it, and there's a lot of love for that Cavalier. I mean, I thought it was a wonderful car, and so did an awful lot of you guys too, but generally people were kind of preferring this thing, and I kind of do as well, because it's a little bit more of an interesting car. Long term, I think it's going to be worth more money, and also there's way more wrong with it that I can fix on camera for you guys. There's the entertainment value. On the Cavalier, there's pretty much nothing to do but from wash it and polish it and make it look very shiny, and then it will be absolutely lovely. But in terms of having an interesting car to use, this is more interesting, this is more retro. But it did make me think I would quite like a Cavalier. I think I would need to find room for both rather than one or the other. So yeah, watch this space. But I think it would like to be, I'd like an SRI maybe, or a 4x4. Let's make it interesting. Right, so now, it did, however, highlight how scruffy this thing had got while it was in storage the last 2 months. These earlier repair from several years ago has bubbled through. That looks awful. That needs sorting out before it becomes a hole into the sill, because these are bad for that. And I've got a deadline. I need to get it done properly over summertime, but on Thursday, Tweed Jacket Reviews, check out his channel, link in below, will be reviewing this car, and I would like it not to embarrass me any more than it's going to anyway. I can't do anything about the appalling gear linkage, but I can do something about this. So let's crack on. I'd forgotten this car's got a locking wheel nut on it. Oh, God damn it. It's been a while since it's come off. Oh, great. These also have ridiculous overcap things that make it almost impossible to undo the nuts. You can see this one's mangled already, so that's going to be a game getting that off. This car is remarkably close to the wall. I'm hoping I'm not jacking it actually into the wall at the other corner. The great thing about nice tight springs is you only got to do a few pumps of the jack to get the car off the ground. These Semperit tyres have still got a ton of tread on them. I haven't really done many thousand miles. So I'm going to have to go and tack a bit of, or cut that out and tack a bit of something over that to make it more solider than what it is now, because that's not good. But it's not the end of the world though, it's only a tiny little bit of gubbin. We can sort that. This is the one I was more worried about, because I don't want to have to take the whole bumper off, which is only a few screws, but it's a lot of hassle. So I'm going to try and very carefully grind this out without taking the paint off the bumper. That there would be some old filler. That would be. And that is a mistake. Oh well, I'm going to need to paint this whole area anyway. And last of all, this little mess here. Hopefully it's not too serious in the metalwork there. I've opened the door now, so there's no other paint to remove. Aha, genius. Now, I do know from doing the bonnet that the blue isn't going to be a perfect match. But a not perfect match blue is better than bubbles and scabs and rotted out arches. So, you know, we'll do the best we can. But right now, I'm going to apply some rust killer and dollop it on there to kill that rust. Doing a proper job after all. This stuff is, I don't know how old. It's got to be at least 15 years old probably in the garage. But, you know, it's basically horrifically strong acid, so I'm guessing that doesn't go out of date. At some point, I am going to get this car painted properly, as in a body shop that specialises in classics, to strip it apart, really nicely repair the metalwork and do a lovely job of it. Meantime, a bit of filler in the odd coloured aerosol will do the trick. That's the inner edge, which is going to be remaining. I'll grind off the outer bit, but I'd like the inner bit to not be rusty. Right, let's leave that to act for a little while and come back. It's going to be another hour or so before I'm able to do anything with the rust-killed areas, so I'll just quickly cut out that bit of hole, get a nice smooth edge to weld something to later on. Honestly, I hadn't expected to be doing anything quite as involved with this. I thought it would be just like sandpaper and paint. Oh, glasses. And I really wish I bothered to put some old clothes and long trousers on now. Ow. It's always a little bit shocking when you go back and find the full extent of any rust you've uncovered. That little tiny pinhole kind of perforated further than I'd anticipated. But I will be plating that whole area. It's actually not that big, it's smaller than a playing card really. So it won't be a massive job to make that look a bit more presentable. Okay, so I've made a template of the hole in the bottom of the car, which actually isn't that big, even though it's quite surprisingly large when you look at it under the car, considering I thought it was solid an hour ago. And I'll now transfer this to this old bit of metal. And cut it out. And in case you're wondering what this other stuff is on this Rover table, this is a spare door for the Rover 2000, which is brand new old stock still in the grey box. That's bits for the Mercedes when I get around to it, and that's bits that came off the Mercedes. Something else I can try and attend to while I'm out here is this lacquer peel, which is, well, put it this way, it's so bad I can't make it any worse. So I'm going to try and hit it with some very, very fine. This is 1500 grit, then I'll hit it with 2000 grit, and then I'll put some fresh lacquer on, and maybe that'll bring it back enough to look at least vaguely presentable for the time being. I'll be honest, this looks worse on camera than it does in person, but it's not fabulous. I think what I'm going to have to do, because it's really badly discoloured, the original Tahiti blue paint, and there's a bit of a lip up onto the lacquer. I'm going to have to dust it over with the mismatched blue we've got, and then lacquer it over. So when I do the colour coat down here, when that's finished drying off, I will add a colour coat up there as well. Yay! Now, I'm fully aware that this entire door needs stripping back to bare metal and welding a repair plate in and then properly painting. But if I did that, I would then need to go and do the front wing and the rear wing and the boot and the roof and then both bumpers and then the other side of the car. So for today we're doing this. Honestly, there are a few jobs I enjoy less than fillering on a car, and that's way too thick. I know it's way too thick, don't even bother commenting. I'm fully aware it's too thick. But yeah, I hate fillering and I hate welding. So today's gonna be a great day. This, because I've mixed up too much in the first dollop, that was the mistake I've made. Actually, the first mistake was buying an old Rover. The second mistake was mixing up too much of this stuff. Let's keep on track with my many mistakes. Let's sculpt this into roughly the shape of the wing. Sculpt being a very loose term here. Oh god, I hate this stuff. Now the trick with this stuff is to get it really close to being accurate before you, well, while it's still wet, then you've got very little sanding to do. Unfortunately, I've never really picked up that knack. So I always work it until it starts getting tacky and clingy, and then it's too late and I've knackered it. I know I moan at American TV car repair shows for just chucking in tons of Bondo and then sanding the hell out of it, but there's a certain element of skill in making Bondo look like an actual panel. You see, I've done it again. I've been working it until it started going too tacky to work, and now it's just going rough, which means I can have a nasty job sanding that in a minute. Damn it. Oh well, I'll do some welding while that sets. Right, this is actually not a bad fit as it goes. Something's always a surprise when I do any kind of welding. I'm just going to clamp this in place with a pair of mole grips, just to hold it in place, hold it tight. There we go. I was going to disconnect the battery. Nearly forgot that rather vital bit. Don't want any explosions or fires. And get a fire extinguisher ready. Now, this welding kit has not seen the light of day in a very long time. And of course the first thing I found was that the piddly little bottle of gas was empty. Small recycling can. Probably ought to run all my scrap metal and empty bottles of these things down to the recycling place tomorrow. Not recycling place, the scrap merchants. Get some money back for it. Now, I can't remember the last time I actually welded anything, so it's been a bit of a let's see how this thing works kind of exercise, because it's been a long time. Mask, big mask and gloves. I bought this mask, this is an indication of how long it is since I've welded, at the NEC Classic show about 2 years ago, and I don't think I've ever used it, and the plastic is still on the back of there, which gives you a really good idea of how long it is since I've used one of these things. It's meant to be automatically sensitive and stuff, but I don't know how you turn it on. Oh, it's working. It's not the easiest place in the world to be welding. Ow, I'm a little bit on fire. But having a decent mask makes all the difference in the world. Well, this is still going to fall off in a moment, but I can see what I'm doing. It's about to fall off, rather than being on fire. Well, it's only mildly poop. I had to extend a bit longer than I thought. I started blowing holes in the metal and realised I'd not cut enough out. Had to do a little extension piece on the side, but you know, that's actually fairly tidy. Well, for me, considering I've not welded in about 2.5 years or longer. I'm not entirely dissatisfied. I'm sure I'll get an MOT guy to actually do a proper job on it on a 4-post lift next time it goes for a test, but I'm going to go and whack some underseal or something on that. Fill up with goop in the morning as well. Now this is an embarrassingly bad bit of filler work, so I'm going to hit it with 120 grit to try and recover some of it. I just realised that for health and safety I should probably have a mask on. This might be overkill though. Okay, well, it wasn't the worst bit of first layer of fillering, considering it wasn't that great. But there's a couple of little straight scrapes through here that I put into the, I didn't quite get into all the corners of that very large area at the back. But then that is the way it goes with fillering. It only takes 2 or 3 goes to get a good finish. It's the lightest skim possible. This is like barely a hair's width of filler now. It's still a little light on the old perfection. I need another touch up in those corners there and a bit in those little dimples there. There's a fair bit of, oops, just painted the driveway. Oopsie. Little crevice. Seems like a really badly thought out, in fact. Rust trap, really. This whole rear corner could do with a good wire brush and shuts, to be honest. The problem with doing a job like this is it takes absolutely forever because you've got to wait for every single coat of stuff to dry, and that means it's now tomorrow. And this last coat of filler dried overnight, and I've sanded it first thing this morning. Now I'm going to give it a quick slap of filler primer just to kind of fill in the holes, well, the imperfections, of which there are many. Well, this has dried quite well actually, apart from a little dimple just here where I didn't quite take the top off the filler. This is actually quite smooth now, so I'm going to hit some 600 grit just to take some regular primer. Kind of into home straight here now, so just going to give this a much lighter dust off with the 1500 grit. I could use like 800 or 1200 here, but this is what I've got, so it's what I'm going to use. It's just really to key it, taking off any high points. make it lovely. Ready for one more quick dust of undercoat. Then after Popmaster, I'll put some blue on it. Okay, I'm slightly rushing this a bit now because it started raining earlier. It's just stopped again for a moment, so I haven't even got time to properly mask this. Just having to quickly dust over as best I can. And build up a couple of layers. Oh my god, that's fish-eyed up already. God, that's not good. I'm going to describe these conditions as suboptimal. So I've been dashing out every few minutes, squirting a little bit of blue paint, doing a quick sand with 1200 grit paper, or 1500 grit paper, sorry. Just went and borrowed some masking tape from a neighbour, Rob, because, thank you Rob, because I'd run out and couldn't find any. And it is now properly raining, so you can see my sort of start of the masking. I didn't put newspaper up there because that would have just turned to paper mache, but hopefully this will hold long enough, that the rain will stop long enough that I can put a quick dust of blue along this door top, a couple more coats of blue on the door bottom and the rear wing, and then some lacquer. I'll even add a touch of lacquer on that front corner of the bonnet. So I just need the rain to, well, just kind of go away, because this is meh. Yeah. And for the, I think one, maybe two people who got the Troll Hunter reference in the Saab video, this is my Troll Hunter t-shirt. See? Proper fan. I'm in no way affiliated with them, but this came from Last Exit to Nowhere t-shirts. I don't know if it's discontinued or not. If they feel like sponsoring me on my videos, then get in touch, bodyintheboot@gmail.com. Well, it's now several hours later. The rain has finally stopped. I know this isn't lint free, but it's wax free, which is quite important. So I can start drying. Well, I can dry the areas here. Oh god. This is not ideal because my masking has lifted quite a lot. I don't know if these rubber and window strips are actually replaceable or not, because it's actually quite worn. And the problem I've got here is that there is no good line to go back to. As far as no matter how far I take this lacquer back, it just cracks, so I can never get a nice feathered surface to it. So that's why I'm not that worried about this door. Just basically is completely repainting, so that's why I'm not too fussed about how it comes out, because as I said earlier, it literally can't be any worse. Now I'm just going to hit this before it rains with some lacquer, just because it'll be done then. Now this was kind of going okay. I was putting the lacquer on and then the original can of lacquer I was using ran out. So I went and got another Dreg can of lacquer and sprayed it on, and it looks like I've sprayed lemonade over the side of the car now. It's all bubbly and weird, but worse, when I put it on the bonnet it absolutely globbed out and it's made a couple of big runs, which I'm going to have to sand out when they're dry. Fabulous. I know it's damning with faint praise, but that's not nearly as bad as I expected it to be. It's almost presentable. I mean, don't get me wrong, if I paid money for this, like actual cash, I'd have been pretty annoyed. I'd have been demanding a refund or not paying at all. But for a couple of hours in the drive with rattle cans, that's actually kind of alright. And bear in mind, I didn't have any 3000 grit, so after I've washed and polished this for tomorrow, I'll go and find some 3000 and give this a proper polish and actually make it a bit more invisible. And that'll certainly see me through until I get a proper repaint on it. Right, now I'm going to wash and hoover this thing, which you don't need to see because that's boring. And then tomorrow you'll see this in Tweed Jacket Reviews video all about this car. See you then. Thanks for watching, and I hope you appreciated the work on this car. Oh, nearly forgot, Cavalier news. Unsurprisingly, after Alan actually drove the Cavalier for a couple of days, he's kind of fallen in love with it, and that means he's going to keep it. But Alan being Alan, that doesn't mean it's a long-term deal. That means he's going to keep it for about 2 or 3 months probably, and then he'll move it on, which is good because then I'll be in a position maybe to actually buy it outright. But don't tell him I'm interested if we put the price up. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you didn't like it, then tough, watch something else. See you next time.